to your screen and where we meet people who make a difference to our lives. In this episode, I talk to someone that filmgoers all over the world know as the Wolf of Wall Street, an American stockbroker notorious for cheating his investors and for his lavish and corrupt lifestyle, played by the actor Leonardo DiCaprio in the film of the same name. Today, banned from the trading floor, the former Wolf of Wall Street makes his fame and fortune as a marketer and motivational speaker. So join me here on Face to Face with Jordan Belfort.
My name is Jordan Belfort. The year I turned 26...
Brought to the screen in the film The Wolf of Wall Street, directed by Martin Scorsese and starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Jordan Belfort's life is a dizzying spectacle and cautionary tale of a young man's fast rise to wealth, fame and power, involving drugs, women, fancy cars and a shamelessly huge amount of money that inevitably ends up in tears as he falls from his great height into a life in which he loses everything. As a young stockbroker in the 1990s, Jordan Belfort made millions through his investment company, Stratton Oakmont. However, the company also defrauded many investors, for which Belfort was investigated by U.S. Securities Exchange Commission, and he was jailed in 2003 for 22 months for securities fraud and money laundering. Meeting him during his visit to Jakarta recently, I'm curious to know what the present-day Jordan Belfort does for a living, now that he's a lot more mature than his Wolf of Wall Street years, and whether he's still good at making a lot of money. Jordan, it's great to have you here in Jakarta. Your first visit?
It is my first visit to Indonesia, and I'm loving it. It's an amazing country, and you can sense the upwardly mobile energy here. The middle class that's growing, and I think the future's pretty bright, very bright for Jakarta. So
okay,
exciting.
What are you hoping to do here while you're here? You're going to be here for a while?
Well, unfortunately, only a couple of days. I got here about 2 days ago, and I'm leaving late tonight. But I've been giving some talks, some seminars here, and really sharing a system that I've been using in my own life since I was very small, just a kid, and first unconscious. I was doing some things automatically and succeeding at a very young age. At the age of 8, I had a paper out. There's newspapers and door to door, knocking on doors and expanding it, and really over the years it evolved from business after business, and eventually in my early 20s, I cracked the code for sales and influence and helping other people become expert salespeople. So I've been sharing that system as well as an overall system for entrepreneurship around the world, and really helping people who have not been successful, and also some who are successful just want to get to the next level, and helping them really understand what it takes to get from where they are in life right now to a level probably far more than they ever thought they were capable of, and it's really not that difficult.
Yeah, I like that word, crack the code. So this is what you've been doing in the last perhaps a few weeks of your life, traveling around the world?
I've been going from country to country, time zone to time zone, so I'm not even sure what time it is. And the thing is, I don't just teach persuasion, but I'm so well known for it around the world because of the movie The Wolf of Wall Street. And in the movie, there's a couple of scenes there where I actually invent this system. When I say crack the code, meaning there were certain things that I was doing as a salesperson. I was the top salesman in the country, in the United States, in the stock market. And there was things I was doing automatically. And it came to the point where I was trying to transfer that same skill set to other people, and I couldn't do it. And trial and error, and suddenly it occurred to me what was actually happening. And I was able to really look at myself, almost go above, look down, and say, wait, I see what I'm doing now. Let me turn that into really a step-by-step cohesive system that anybody can learn. And I called it the straight line because what I did is I deconstructed a sale. And it's not just a sale in terms of a product. It could be an idea. It could be a negotiation. It could be an entrepreneur selling their vision for the future to their employees or to a banker or to a venture capitalist. It could be for a mom looking to convince her child to make their bed or do their homework, or on the value of education. So it cuts to just all levels of life. And what I realized, there was certain things that had to line up in every sale, in every situation of influence. And if you missed one of them, people would say, not no, but they'd say, let me think about it. Let me call you back. Not a good time. So it's not so much about taking people who say, nah, I'm not interested. It's really not. It's about the ones that are interested but not quite there yet. And what has to happen to take those people, put them over the fence till they say yes? And then once I cracked the code, it was astonishing what happened. I took all these young kids, and as you saw in the movie, just it went haywire. And then of course my life spiraled out of control because I was very young and I couldn't handle the.
Let's talk about cracking the code.
Okay.
To be wealthy, the road to riches. What is the code?
The code basically consists of understanding what skill sets you need to achieve success at anything in your life. There are certain things that you need to know. Some of those things that you need to know are up here. They're abilities that how you manage your own psychology, your mindset. And then there's other things that you need to know that are real world strategies. For instance, how do you close the deal? How do you sell? And that's not just a product, it could be an idea. As I said earlier, a concept, your vision for the future. How do you market that idea? Meaning, how do you go out and, in a cost-effective way, reach all the people, your target market, and essentially bring those people into what's called your sales funnel, right?
Sometimes aren't those skill sets inborn? I mean, for example, your drive, your energy, your skills of communications, your skills of persuasion. Are these teachable? Can you teach people? Or
Absolutely.
This is part of your character, your makeup, your personality? I mean, some people are just better than others.
Sure, of course. Now let's listen. I love to play tennis, and I'm a really, really good tennis player. I can get on the court, whack the ball, you wouldn't believe it, right? I'm never going to be as good as Roger Federer. He was born with a special gift I don't have. I could teach someone who's the worst salesperson in the world to get out there and close deals and be great and wow. They're never going to be as good as me. But you can get proficient enough to get as rich as you want. That's what it's. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. There's a good enough factor. You don't have to be perfect to become rich in this world. You just have to know enough about each of these distinctions, and your life will soar. And then it's a matter of just going out and taking action, and finding a good mentor, and modeling someone else's formula. And these are some of the other parts that I haven't really mentioned yet, because we don't have a lot of time here. But if you work this system, it's impossible. It's impossible not to become successful if you are that person and you work the system. And I'm the first person to say you got to work hard. It's not an easy ticket, sit at home. No, you got to go out there and take action, go towards your goal, take advantage of opportunity, and also as an entrepreneur, you have to learn how to what I call fail elegantly. You have to go into business and learn how to be wrong, to test your ideas. Be wrong, maximize on the lessons, and then when you finally get it right, you need to learn how to succeed wildly. How do you leverage? How do you grow? How do you add a zero onto your income? Very different skills. So these are the things that I know now as throughout my life, and I've cracked the code, and I take that and put it into sort of a spoon-fed way. And again, you're right. I'm not saying everyone's going to become me and be worth hundreds of millions of dollars, but believe me, the impact it has on the average person is astounding. And if you want to practice, if your standards high, you practice, and you can get really, really great at this stuff.
The world of investing can be a jungle.
Manhattan, Long Island, and Queens for a month.
Okay, Mr. Jordan.
I take Quaaludes 10 to 15 times a day for my back pain. Then, I was a licensed broker at last, ready to make my fortune. My first...
Born on July the 9th, 1962 in Queens, New York, Jordan Ross Belfort became infamous for his role in swindling millions of dollars from investors in the 1990s through his investment firm, Stratton Oakmont. The son of an accountant, Belfort grew up in a modest apartment in Queens. A natural salesman, he eventually launched a business selling meat and seafood, but the company soon went bankrupt. In 1987, Belfort put his sales skills to use in a different arena. He started working for a brokerage firm, learning the ins and outs of being a stockbroker. 2 years later, Belfort was operating his own trading company, Stratton Oakmont. In 2003, Belfort was sentenced to 4 years in prison and personally fined $110 million. He served 22 months in jail, where he developed an interest in writing. His book, The Wolf of Wall Street, explores his meteoric rise and explosive crash in the financial world and is the basis for the Hollywood film with the same name. Naturally, I'm interested to know how much of the crazy character portrayed in the film really reflects the real-life Jordan Belfort.
You didn't buy more. Boom! Shock. So
I'm talking to you now, and I have visions of the film Wolf of Wall Street. Of course, we all know you as the Jordan Belfort portrayed by Leonardo DiCaprio. And I've seen the film.
It was amazing, by the way.
I really liked the film. I actually was hoping that it would win the Oscars.
I know.
But how much of that film was actually fact, and how much was it fiction, really?
It's, a lot of it was factual, but there was enough fiction to change on some level the essence of who I was. And because, see, here's the deal. Remember, it's a movie. It's not a documentary. And it's meant to entertain, right? More than to, teach people a moral lesson. So, and I believe there are some amazing moral lessons in the film if you're willing to look at the film objectively, but it's meant to, it's entertainment.
Yeah.
The biggest departure, there's really two main departures from reality. And the first one is that the way that I go down to Wall Street at 24 years old, 23 actually, and I'm in that first day and I look at Matthew McConaughey and I say, can't we make our clients money too? Isn't that good for everyone? I'm this sort of bright-eyed, honest, ethical kid. And he's like, no, you can't. That's not the way it works here. It's not what Wall Street's all about, right? And then the next scene, I'm in a strip bar snorting cocaine. That did not happen. I was a really good kid from a really good family, and my descent into the dark side of life happened over years, very slowly, incrementally, and that's the dangerous thing. The only thing that troubles me about that is that kids might look at that and think that that's how it happens. It's not. Your descent is very slow. It's step by step.
Progressing
you almost don't
over the
realize
years.
it until it all seems. It's like you dip your toe into a piping hot bathtub. You pull it out because it's hot, and then 5 minutes later you feel really good. It's because you get used to it, and that's really what happened. So that was one aspect I thought, and I urged. I said, you should slow that down because it really didn't happen. Like, no, we only have 3 hours, so sorry, we got to. So whatever. That's cool. The second thing that was a big departure from reality was the scene where I am going to leave the firm. And I get up and I give this farewell speech, and then halfway through the speech, I say, that's it, I'm staying. I'm not, the show goes on. I left. I actually left.
And how old were you then?
I was now 31 years old. Wow. So I left the firm, and I went to another company I had started called Steve Madden Shoes, you might know, which is now a $3 billion company. I owned half of that company, and I went and built, Steve and I were partners, we went and built Steve Madden Shoes. But again, I understand, especially that one, that Marty and Leo, it was so much fun, the backdrop of the firm. They wanted me to be in the firm. So that was sort of why that happened. Then I guess the third aspect was the stuff with my wife where I punched her in the stomach. That never happened. I would never. In fact, when the movie came out, we took my kids together. My ex-wife and we're still friends. We took my kids together to say, listen, this happened, that didn't happen. So, but overall, though, the essence of the insanity, of the camaraderie, of the fun, and of the debauchery, it was true.
It was true.
Yeah.
So, and the character portrayed by Leonardo, he is an amazing play. Was he true to your character?
As true.
I'm listening to you now, but I can feel the energy.
As true as you could be in a movie that's not a documentary. In other words, there were some things that he did that made me worse than I was. And that was despicable at times. I'm the first person to admit that back in that day, there's a saying, it comes from the movie Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility, right? Well, I had this amazing power, the ability to influence and persuade, and more importantly, the ability to teach others to influence and persuade. That's a power. It's almost like a superpower when it comes to business and making money. And I abused that. In other words, I didn't hold on to the ethical line. And shame on me for that. I had to start over because of that. So I'm the first to admit I was a despicable person in some aspects.
Yeah, you were very, not exactly a role model in that
I get
film.
it, right. And yet there was some things that he did that I was like, I would never do that. So it's like, it's very tough when you see your own life unfold on.
How's all this?
It's the Forbes article. They all want to work for you now. Hey, what did I say? Hey, you want a job?
Give me a minute, buddy.
Forbes made me a superstar. Every day, dozens of money-crazed kids beat a path to my door.
Jordan Belfort started his rise in career when the motto of the decade was "Greed is good." I wonder if 22 months in jail, losing everything, and having to start his life from scratch had anyway changed him as a person, and if money still has the same meaning and value in his present life.
I'm looking at the Jordan Belfort now, obviously, older, wiser, and just as successful. How has it changed your perception of wealth and success and rich? And do you still feel that it is important to have the wealth, to be rich? And because a lot of people want to have the wealth, a lot of people want to be rich. They like being successful. Maybe they like to live the fast life, right, and so on. How has it fundamentally changed?
Well, listen, I still think money is incredibly important, like oxygen. You can't breathe without it. But imagine it this way. I always, great metaphors when you're taking off on a plane and you're about to go into the sky. They give you that little warning. They say, if for some reason those little masks fall out, right, and the cabin depressurizes, they say, put your mask on first, before you even put your own child's mask on, because if you can't breathe the oxygen, you're not strong, you can't help anybody else. So I believe that money allows you to essentially be a greater person than you can ever be, because it allows you to help people, to solve other people's problems. And also, again, money's not the be-all, end-all, but food, shelter, medical care, there's things that you just need money for. So I almost look, on some level, money's almost like a problem to be solved. I'm not saying it's going to buy happiness, but a lack of money can be a passport to misery. So, again, making money is not difficult. There's rules for it. It requires hard work. It requires smart work. And it requires having a cohesive system. When you have that, you can make money, and you can live an empowered life, and then you can move on to the higher charitable things and spirituality. But without money, I've seen it all over the world, that people who are struggling financially, it destroys them. It destroys marriages. It complicates people's lives. They don't get to really see the greatest of what the world has to offer. And I believe every human being deserves that. And that doesn't mean that you have to be greedy. It doesn't mean you have to neglect your family. It doesn't mean you have to sacrifice your ethics and integrity. You can have it all. You know the movie Jerry Maguire? They talk about the Kwan, the Kwan, right? What is it? It's the highest of all standards. It's the money, the love, the respect, the passion, the connection, the charitable contribution. It's everything wrapped up into one. And for me, that's what my life's about today, my own personal Kwan. I think every person deserves that.
But how much money are we talking about? For example, we talk about, yes, we need money for all the basics, the shelter, the food, right, the health and everything. But at a certain point, it becomes the search, for more money, and this is where you mentioned, the greed factor, or there is this, going back to that hole again. Yeah. If the hole gets, bigger and bigger, then it can never be enough. You can never have too much money. So where does the ethics, the greed?
Here's the way I look at it. Number one, and this is a fact of life, the amount of money that I need to be happy, the amount of money you need to be happy, are very different. And I'm not right and you're not wrong. Every human being has their own beliefs, their own experiences, their own values, their own way they're wired. What's important is this. Every human being needs to have a vision for their own future, a vision of where they're going. And that vision includes where they want to live, what kind of work they want to do, what kind of car they want to drive, what kind of vacations they want to take, how they want to live their life. Based on your vision, then the amount of money that you want to make needs to be congruent with your vision. You don't need to make any more than that unless you want to give it away, which is also a wonderful thing. The problem is when someone has big dreams and low financial standards, then they're always in a place of want and lack. Other people, like the richest person in the world, is Mother Teresa. She didn't want any money. She was rich. So for Mother Teresa, it's $10 a week is enough. So there's no right or wrong answer. It comes down to what you want for yourself. And as long as you go about achieving your vision without stepping on people, but elevating other people, to me, that is what success is all about.
Except that sometimes, you have one house, and then that's my dream, to have a house. And then after you have one house, I want
this is how we go back to
the holiday home, the vacation
and again,
home. And then I want the 4 houses, the 5, and then I want my own, I'm not happy with my car, right. I want my private plane. And where does it end?
I think again, it's always a personal decision. But this is the part where you mentioned the whole. So you at a point, if your motivation for making money is to make yourself feel better, that's where you know you're trying to fill the hole. If your motivation is because you're in love with someone and you want to empower your children and you want to give back and experience the greatest of the world has to offer, then go for it. If you want to travel and that requires a certain money, then make the money. If you want 2 or 3 homes because you love to have different homes, make the money. But if it's to cover up negative feelings in your heart, then you're never going to be on that treadmill the rest of your life. So again, it comes down to a bit of knowing who you are. And this is why I always say there's 2 worlds we operate in. There's the inner world of success, the mindset, and then there's the outer world, your strategies for making it in the real world. You have to kind of reconcile both, or else exactly what you're saying is going to happen. You're going to be chasing the dollar, and you're going to say, no matter how much I make, what's next? What's next? That's sort of the achiever's mentality, and also so it's very goal-oriented. They continually say goal after goal after goal, but they're really not attached to an emotional vision for their future. And like I said, if your vision is not just the house or the car, it's how you live your life. It's how you connect with your spirituality, how you give to charity, how you support your children, how you interact with your spouse. It's your everything. It's the best of your entire life, almost visualized in the future, and that's not a goal. It's a very different thing. So I'm a big believer in setting goals, but you got to have the vision above your goals, or else it'll be just what you said. What's next? What's next? What's next?
We're trying to fill a hole. Jordan, do you still have a hole? Is your hole full now?
I think that, I don't think I'll ever be the sort of person that is fully at peace. I don't think I'm ever going to be that way. Maybe one day when, I'll run to the Dalai Lama and he's going to teach me the art of happiness and I'm going to be that guy. I think that I'm wired to always sort of be a little bit on edge, to always have a little bit of lack in my heart. I admit that. I'm the first to admit it. And I think many people are like that. The important thing is that once you understand that, it allows you to deal with any of the negative feelings and to reframe those feelings and say, I know what that is. I know it doesn't serve me. And you can almost start to laugh at yourself as you get older. And you do this reality check, and then I can switch the way I feel about it. I look at it from a different way, and it changes the meaning, and I feel good again. When you're looking back, it's like, I can't believe I did that. That's not a life that I'd ever want to go back to. And it has nothing to do with the money. The money was amazing, and in fact, I make as much money now. So it's not that the money was evil. It's the way I handled it. And
but what was it, do you think? Was it because of your youth,
It was partially my youth, but it was here's what happened. And you see it happen a lot on Wall Street and also in Hollywood, where young people, they go to Hollywood, like the Lindsay Lohans of the world. They go there and they get rich, they get famous, and they implode.
They can't handle success.
They can't handle that. Because what happens is that when you're in your teens, in your early 20s, and you're clawing your way to success, as you're on the way, so you have this vision, I want to become rich, I want to become successful. So any insecurities you have, any bad feelings you had, you can say, well, that's normal because I don't have what I want. Once I'm rich, then I'll feel great. Then my life will make sense. Then I'll be congruent. Then what happens is you actually get rich and you're like, wait a second, I still feel insecure. I still feel not great all the time. And that's when the panic starts to set in. So what you typically do, you say, well, let me make myself feel good. Let me buy something. So you buy a fancy car.
A yacht.
You buy a yacht. You buy a house and a bigger house. So you that hole that you feel, if it hasn't been resolved, and many people, go into their adulthood and they're not, they have insults of the past and they're, whatever, it doesn't matter which one their insult is, but they come in thinking that if they get rich, then they'll feel perfect. And I can assure you that money is not going to change the fabric of who you are. All money is going to do is going to magnify who you are. So on some level, I was the most generous person you could meet. If I had a friend or anybody in need, I'd give my money away freely. But also, it made me almost panic-stricken because I'm saying, wait a second, I thought that once I had the beautiful car, the mansion on the hill, the whole thing's going to make sense. Yet, I'm still Jordan Belfort, who's still dealing with any of the insecurities, any unresolved issues of his adolescence and his childhood. And I think part of the reason why I started doing so many drugs was because I was, had the voices, I'm a very active dialogue in my head, and just trying to quiet that down ultimately. Then, of course, eventually, the first couple of years we were strictly legitimate. Then we started doing a little bit of stock manipulation, and I started feeling some guilt about that. And then you keep doing more drugs, and it becomes a vicious cycle. And Wall Street back then was a very, very, let's just say the ethical one. It was Gordon Gekko era, and everyone was doing things that probably shouldn't have been done.
And you were caught up in that.
I was swept up in that. And that's, by the way, that's no excuse. I'm not trying to say that made it right, but that's part of what happened. And I'm one of those people. I'm very good at figuring things out. So I had to be the best of whatever I was doing, and I ended up being the best at building this colossus of a firm where I could take any person, any kid from a family that had, really no background of success kids with little education, kids that lacked any natural sales skills, relatively low IQs. I could take any one of them and use the system I created, the straight line, and make them rich. And people flocked in from all over the country, and it just spiraled out of control. And it became almost like the Animal House, the movie Animal House. So brokerage, because we were like still adolescents playing as adults, and it was just completely nuts.
You talked about the hole. Did you sort of find out where did that hole come? Where did that insecurity? I mean, because you had the wine, the drugs, the money, the success, everything, king of the world, wolf of Wall Street, and then, but this is not who Jordan Belfort really is.
Oh, now you're getting into my personal. Oh my
no,
God,
but I mean,
good.
there has to be.
There is no. Listen. For me, a lot of it was that I came from a poor family. Yet we lived in an area where there was some very rich people around. And I think on some level, my friends and I, we always felt like we were sort of on the wrong side of the tracks a little bit. And, and some guys would go out there and get, beautiful cars from their parents, and all the beautiful girls would want to gravitate towards the guys with the fancy cars. And we'd always look and say, oh, one day we'll be rich and we'll have all that too. So a lot of us had to do with women, and, I think like today I'm very comfortable with women. I probably wasn't so comfortable when I was 15 or 16 years old, like most 15 and 16-year-old. And what happened is, when I realized at the age of 21, actually let me go back, I realized at the age of 16 that I had a special ability to not just make money, but to almost make the world the way I wanted it. The gift that I had started to really mushroom in my 20s, and it became a very special gift. I mean, listen, everyone has gifts, and everyone has shortcomings. My gift was the ability to go out there and make massive sums of money and help other people do the same. And when I realized how powerful it was when I was 24, and the world opened up to me, and all of a sudden I became one of the most wealthy young kids in America, it almost short-circuited my brain, and I wasn't mature enough to handle the wealth, the power, and the admiration of both men and women. And I had all the models coming after me, I had all my friends coming after me, the entourage, and I was sleeping with everything I could, every beautiful girl. Oh, that's good, that's good, that's good. I did my best dating after I was married, basically. So I wasn't the best husband my first few marriages, right? And I look back at those years, and at least now it's interesting, because the sort of the journey I'm on today, which is the best journey. I mean, I am happier now than I've ever been. But the wealth and the success and the recognition, it does not hit me in a disempowering way anymore. It hits me in an empowering way. I use it now to actually help other people become successful, to give back, to be a role model for kids. See, one of the things, I had a fine left over. People lost money, and I announced about a month and a half ago that I was going to pay back the entire fine this year because I'm doing so well. And I did that for a few reasons, because I didn't have to. I mean, no one was really chasing me actively, but I wanted to pay back everybody who ever lost money, because I wanted to just, go on with this, in my own heart. But also it was about, because I'm a role model to people in their teens and 20s, and I want them to understand what redemption really means, what success really means. And I think that for them to see how I live my life today, that's important, because they go to the movie and they come out and they're like, wow, I want that. And what sometimes they don't realize, that what they want is a lot of the great stuff. See, they have to be able to draw and say, I want the money, I want the success, I want the empowerment, but I don't need the drugs, I don't need any criminality, I don't need to cross the ethical line, I don't need to toss midgets around, I don't need to go sleep with prostitutes. I can, live a great life at the highest level and give back. And I think that when people look at my life today, that's what it represents.
Dream of becoming financially independent, but struggle every month just to pay your bills? Would you like to own a home like this one, but can barely afford to pay your rent? My name is Jordan Belfort, and there is no secret to wealth creation. No matter who you are, no matter where you came from, you too can become financially independent in just a matter of months. All you need is a strategy.
These days, Jordan Belfort puts his selling and marketing skills to a use that is not criminal. He travels the world as a motivational speaker, selling his knowledge on how to make money by what he calls cracking the code, inspiring those who also want to have his money-making ability.
But you know that there is a purpose, for Jordan Belfort being in this world.
Of course.
Going through all the mistakes and then having all the hardship challenges, and yet now doing whatever Jordan Belfort is doing.
You raised a really great word here, which I don't use enough, which is the word purpose. And that's really one of the key components of a vision, is it has to be integrated with your purpose in life. And I know what mine is. You know, my purpose is to really go around the world and empower people with this ability that I've had since I fall back as I can remember, this ability to sort of, for whatever it is, I can look at a situation, I can crack the code on it, and I can transfer that code to other people. And the first go round, it was so successful that it got away from me. Like I said earlier, great power, great responsibility. I'm older and wiser now, and when I go around there and I give my talks, you know, there's such a focus on ethics. There's such a focus on integrity. I guess some people probably say like, "Oh, all right, you said enough. You said it 80 times today." But you know, for me, it's such a part of who I am. So, you know, that really is my purpose, and I think that, you know, I'm living my purpose on a daily basis right now, and that's what allows me to get through the jet lag and through all the hotel rooms and through so much of the unpleasant circumstances. And frankly, you know, Indonesia has been an amazing place to visit. Sometimes it's not so amazing, but you know, my hosts here have been amazing. Mr. Tong,
and you're happy doing it. You're happy traveling around the world.
Let's just say the people that I met yesterday in Surabaya were some of the most amazing people in the audience. That just the looks in their eyes. Some of the women, especially there, I was just blown away by the positivity, by the brightness in their eyes. It's intoxicating to me, even like my own people. I'm motivating them, and they're motivating me right back. But I'm looking at their expressions, how happy they are, and how grateful they are, and how empowered they are. And they come on stage and they hug me, and I'm like, what could be better than that? It's like it's mutual giving and taking, and you know, I'm transferring my skill sets to people who want it so much, and their intentions so pure. That's a great life.
Finally, Jordan, because it's raining now. Have you seen people become a lot richer by following your code?
I get 50 emails a day. If you just go to my Facebook wall, go to the Wolf of Wall Street and just look at people, not what I write, just go and peruse my wall and look what people just randomly write, and you wouldn't believe what people write. They're like, I bought your system, I went to your seminar, you changed my life. Hundreds upon hundreds of people just unsolicited write on my wall, and that is the most amazing thing. That's one of the great gifts that the movie gave me, is that when the movie came out, all these people came out and started, oh my God, I can't believe I bought your system, I went to your seminar here, and my life has changed, and there's story after story after story after story, and that's the proof is in the pudding.
Everybody wants to be Jordan Belfort, the
successful, the best version, the ethical version.
But without going through all the mistakes.
Exactly.
Okay, Jordan, it's been wonderful talking to you, and I hope you enjoy your stay in Indonesia, and success.
Thank you.
And no more hole to fill.
No more hole, I know. Little one, thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
But what is it exactly that Jordan Belfort is selling to his audience? And how effective is the code that he talks about? I asked known Indonesian motivational speaker Tung Desem Waringin what he gets from following Jordan Belfort's training program, and what he thinks of the man himself.
Let's not talk about the film.
Yes.
Let's not talk about Jordan Belfort and Leonardo DiCaprio. Let's talk about the skills. Let's talk about his method. Let's talk about his success and the reason why he came to Jakarta and why you're interested in his methodology. What can we learn from Jordan Belfort?
The first thing that I learned from him is when I met him and talked personally, it's called the internal success. That two internal, one is internal, and then second is the external success that you need to have. One is called is a high standard. This Jordan Belfort truly have the very high standard in life. Like when we fly from Surabaya go to Jakarta, he really want to charter private jet. I have a very high standard, but this guy, okay, this kind of another high level, very high standard. And then the belief system you must change. If you don't change the belief system and you don't have the high standard, you go nowhere. You already receive, okay, I enough this one, so go nowhere. He have very high standard and have the right belief system and has the knowledge. And the best thing that I learned from Jordan Belfort is how to make people respect you in 4 seconds.
And how?
That's amazing. In 4 seconds, you must create the perception. Maybe only perception, I don't know. But the perception is 3 things. One is sharp like attack. Second, you must enthusiast like hell. 3, you must expertise. You must become expert in this field. So 3 things that people when talk to you in 4 seconds. And what I learned from Jordan Belfort is you cannot say that these 3 things in the word. So I'm expert, I'm enthusiast, I'm sharp like attack. Cannot. So must through the tonality.
The tone of your voice.
Yeah, tone of the voice. And that's why when in the movie, when he teach people to take the phone and talk in 4 seconds, you must gain the respect. And you don't gain the respect in 4 seconds, you cannot say anything. So
But on the whole, has it been a successful trip? Has it been worth having him speaking to everybody?
Yes, absolutely. The best thing is word for me, and word for people that comes, and word for the television, word for people who seen the Metro TV, and I love to share all the knowledge. Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street, is certainly a colourful and controversial figure. However, some might even still consider him as a fraudster. And yet it is clear that Belfort is a man of talent, at least when it comes to selling and convincing other people. A talent that he can teach and share with others. If you're unimpressed, however, it cannot be denied that the film about him has entertained audiences around the world. And that's all for this episode. Don't forget to join me next month where we meet another figure who makes a difference to our lives here on Face to Face with Daisy Anwar, bringing you the world.